Welcome back to another video. In the previous video, I spent the time giving advice on some personal preparation to starting a bookkeeping business. In this video, I want to talk about getting clients, attracting clients, which can be the hardest part of any business, is growing the clientele. I will give you some advice on what has worked for me. Going back to the previous video about being competent, I mentioned reconciling accounts. Let's see. Let's make this bigger. Reconciling accounts. Now, the reason I mention this is a lot of bookkeepers will keep the accounts, and they will also reconcile bank accounts in preparation for year end. The accounts will go to the tax accountant. But what happens quite often with reconciling accounts is there'll be a bunch of unreconciled transactions on the bank reconciliation screen. If you understand reconciling accounts, you understand what I'm talking about. Or that you will send the accounts to the accountant, the year-end accountant, and the VAT control account will be wrong. There'll be some figure put in there that will just put everything out of balance. The reason why it's important to reconcile accounts and why this links into getting clients is if you can provide accounts to a year-end accountant and the accounts are smooth, they are very accurate, everything has been reconciled, everything ties up, there's no funny transactions anywhere. If you can do that, you are going to impress the year-end accountant, the tax accountant. Now, what happens when a tax accountant finds a good bookkeeper is they will recommend you and they will use you. A lot of tax accountants do not want to spend their time doing bookkeeping, but quite a few of them do because there is a lack of competent bookkeepers. There is a lack of bookkeepers that can provide for year end sufficiently. So if you are competent and can do these things, and you're doing books for clients, all of which have tax accountants, you have a scope or a range of people you can impress that can refer you work. So that's one way you can get new clients, is by impressing accountants who normally have at least 100 clients they do tax for, all of which they could potentially recommend to you to do books for. Now, another way to get clients, let me just mark reconciling accounts off my list, is through family and friends. Now, this is your first step, really, is family and friends. You're not going to start a bookkeeping business. You're not going to give up your job and go straight into bookkeeping because you need to build a clientele first. Let's put family and friends, make that big. The first step you need to do, or the first step you need to take when getting clients, is getting work through family and friends and then growing from there. Also, if you're going to make mistakes in the beginning, no matter how experienced you are, you will make some mistakes. It's better to make mistakes with your brother's accounts or something you can explain to him and he's going to easily forgive you and be understanding. Family and friends is the first point of contact for bookkeeping, and a lot of people are self-employed these days or know someone who are self-employed, and a lot of these people need bookkeepers. All of them need accountants generally, but a lot of them need bookkeepers. So go to family and friends. The obvious one is advertising. Now, it depends where you advertise, but advertising is a good route. I haven't spent much money on advertising. I have an ad, it's on like Yale.com. just find something that's cheap but gets your name out there. Especially if you have a website, it's a way to promote your website for SEO purposes. You can have a link to your website from the place you're advertising, and I spend about £10 a month on advertising, something silly, but it does attract new clients and gets me work and pays for itself. Now, another way to get new clients is through networking. Once again, this is a very cost-effective way to get new work. I used to go to a networking meeting. I think it was £20 a month. We met twice a month, but I got a lot of work, especially on the Sage training side that I mentioned in the last video. I got a lot of work through networking. Now, the problem with networking is because bookkeeping is so popular, so competitive, a lot of networking groups already have a bookkeeper, and it can be very hard to have two bookkeepers, just like it is to have two car mechanics at a networking event. So do your best to find a networking group that doesn't have a bookkeeper, or go to networking only advertising, only promoting one thing. If there's a bookkeeper already there, they can feel free to promote bookkeeping services. Perhaps you can go and promote VAT services or CIS tax services. But networking in the past has been a good way to get your name out there. So let's tick that off, and advertising off. Family and friends. Tick that one off too. Going along with what I just said about networking, find a gap in the market. Try and find a gap that you can fill. When I started the Bookkeeping Master channel, there was only really one other channel that was providing bookkeeping and accounting videos, and it wasn't that great, to be honest. So the success of the Bookkeeping Master channel has been that no one else was doing it. If 5 or 6 other people were doing it, it may not have been as successful as it is. So find a gap in the market to promote your services. It could be that there are very little websites out there that provide guidance on VAT, or there are very few services out there or websites that provide insights into CIS tax or credit control. Find gaps where you can really promote yourself and people can pick you up. Along with that, have a website, do blogging, look into SEO and find a way to promote your services. Most people go in Google now to even search for basic services that they need. Make sure your name's going to be included in there somewhere. Now, this does cost a bit of money, SEO and all that sort of stuff, but leave that to last. I would suggest go to your first point of call, which is family and friends. Perhaps spend a bit of money on advertising, and then networking is a platform that can really work for you. As mentioned, I'm not a business expert. I can't give you some magic formula that's going to get you lots of clients, but this is what has worked for me.